We've decoded the intel from the First Order spy, and it confirms the worst. Somehow Palpatine returned.
So, the Rise of Skywalker. It's bad for a number of reasons. However, the main thing that has always bothered me about it the most was its awful ending. You see, I wouldn't describe The Phantom Menace or Rogue One as good movies, yet both ended so strong that most walked out the theater satisfied. The Rise of Skywalker is the complete opposite, and there's such layers to its awfulness that we really need to start at the beginning. Ah, what a beautiful scene, right? Such an effective way of telling the audience what Luke desires, which, according to Disney, is staying on Tatooine forever. So let me go through how Tatooine has been depicted. In the first movie, the whole point was that Luke hated this fucking place. He wanted to get away from it. Not to mention how 3PO and R2-D2 got captured here, that Luke's aunt and uncle got violently disintegrated, the infamous Sand People jump scare, the cantina just having casual violence. Point is that this place was always portrayed as a shithole. In Return of the Jedi, when they return to Tatooine, it's purely to save their friend, whose disgusting boss just so happened to live there. And that experience turned Leia into a sex slave and almost killed everyone there. I think Han sums it up the best, actually.
There's nothing to see. I used to live here, you know.
You're gonna die here, you know. Convenient.
Then a couple years later, The Phantom Menace came out, and despite all its faults, I think its use of Tatooine was actually narratively consistent with the original trilogy. Once again, it's portrayed as a shithole, with Anakin and his mother being slaves to a racist flying slug. With a race tournament that just outright lets their contestants die. Then Attack of the Clones keeps this up by having Anakin come back to find his mom, only to find the Sand People having murdered his big mommy, and thus committing his seemingly first truly evil act. Damn, my man's on a genocide route. And those were all the appearances of Tatooine in the main films for a while.
What about the Clone Wars movie?
And those were all the appearances of Tatooine in the main films.
Oh, okay, man, just don't hurt me.
Pretty obvious what the point of Tatooine was, right? Yeah, there's plenty of extended material that expands on the place, but most of that is so small that even though I don't really think it's worth fleshing out a planet with such a defined purpose as the shithole, it doesn't really hinder any of the major Star Wars projects, so I don't really care. And then Disney bought Star Wars and shit went off the rails. Now, at first, they actually didn't really touch Tatooine. Well, they did, they just gave it a different name. It's when Rise of Skywalker came out that they fucked up. So you know how I just went over how essentially the entire Skywalker bloodline and anyone they ever associated with should hate this place? Well, I mean, you know, fuck it. Have Rey bury their lightsabers here, because have it be known that Luke wasn't even born on Tatooine, and that Leia has nothing to do with Tatooine at all. She has no connection to that place. This is actually the most brain-dead writing decision I've ever seen. And Rey has even less to do with this place, as before this point, she was never even here. And somehow her being on Tatooine and burying the lightsabers there wasn't bad enough, because then this happens.
Who are you? I'm Rey. Rey who? Rise Skywalker.
If the Tatooine thing made no narrative sense, then this is super no narrative sense. This girl only knew this man for a couple days. Why are we pretending they had a super deep familial connection? I've seen some people pitch Rey Organa as a better alternative, and yeah, it's better, but honestly the best outcome would have been if they just cut this last name bullshit altogether and made it more about how the last name shouldn't matter. But no, we can't do that. That's the theme of The Last Jedi, and people didn't like that movie, so we gotta do something else, because we're fucking cowards. I entirely blame these kinds of videos for this ending. Who even asks for someone's last name when meeting them? Police officers? Get out, JJ. And I guess you could
A certain point of view.
do this shit to have it make sense. Like, oh, maybe she took the name because Luke was the last major Jedi before her. I'm smart. But if we have to resort to making insane stretches like that, then maybe we need to accept that the scene itself sucks. And like I said, it makes the rest of this shit look even worse. It makes me realize the baffling amount of fake deaths this movie had, how cringy that metal scene was, how Disney didn't plan anything about this trilogy. This scene encapsulates this movie's awfulness. What's impressive is that there's honestly nothing you could change to make it good. You'd have to rework it entirely. And that's why it is, in my opinion, the worst scene in Star Wars. Unless we count the special editions, in which case... I'm not the first person to have shit on this ending. Warp Zone made an unfunny sketch about it. JK, I love you guys. And this Michael Gay guy also made a video about it. But he's Jay, so fuck him. Anyway, my point is, I'm right, you're wrong. Thank God the WGA has a good deal. Peace.